Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. My name is Amanda Terrell, and I am the Regional Group Sales Manager with Grand Circle and Overseas Adventure Travel with the Southeast Region Territory. I am originally from Plymouth, Massachusetts, and have relocated to Palm Coast, Florida to work for Grand Circle Travel and Overseas Adventure Travel. I'm very happy to be here today to give a presentation on Holland and Belgium in springtime, April 9th of 2023. So I will be giving a brief description in the beginning of the presentation about our company, and then go into full detail about the Holland and Belgium springtime trip. And then at the end of the presentation, I'll leave answers for any questions that you might have. So let's get started. To the left, we have the founder of Grand Circle Travel, Ethel Andrus, and in 1958, she founded the company AARP and also Grand Circle Travel. She was the first female school principal in California. And to the upper right, we have our current owners and their family, Alan and Harriet Lewis. And in 1985, they purchased Grand Circle Travel and moved the offices to Boston from New York. I love being able to go home and to work in the Boston office. Every floor is decorated in travel. And even when you get on the elevator, it's like you're in a hot air balloon. I can't speak highly enough about them. They give back so much to the areas that we travel to. And I feel honored to work and love to work for such an amazing company. We have the Grand Circle family. Grand Circle Corporation is a global enterprise comprised of a family of travel companies that are committed to changing people's lives by offering high-impact experiences to our travelers and building local communities through philanthropy, social entrepreneurship, and volunteerism. So we have 4 different parts to our company. The first is OAT Small Group Adventures by Land and Sea. The OAT Adventures by Land is going to be no more than 8 to 16 travelers. And that is an example of the real affordable Peru trip Asheville Ski Club is doing in 2022. We have OAT, Overseas Adventure Travel, Small Group Adventures by Sea, and the majority of the ships that we own are privately owned by us. We also have Grand Circle Cruise Line River Cruising with our award-winning privately owned river cruise ships that you will take part on if you're doing the Holland and Belgium in springtime trip. And we have Grand Circle Travel Land Tours. So the biggest difference between the two is with Grand Circle, you're going to have slower paced tours, longer stays in destination cities, and a larger group size. With OAT, you're going to have a smaller group size, and you're going to have more adventurous and more active itineraries. On our small ship adventures, the group size is no more than 25 travelers. On our Grand Circle Travel Land Tours, the group size is 38 to 42 travelers. And on our river cruising, there's no more than 47 travelers per group. So we go to 7 continents and 96 countries. And my favorite part is that we have 36 regional offices around the world. Now I can speak to those 7 continents and 96 countries. We are now adding more countries as we just announced today, 6 new itineraries that we'll be offering in 2023. So very exciting. I really think it's very important for me about our 36 regional offices and for travelers to feel safe when traveling. You know, the benefit to our regional offices is that we're not sitting in our Boston office researching the news or watching to see what's happening to make our decisions. Our decisions are based off of our 36 regional offices we have. And my favorite experience to speak of is I recently came back at the end of last year on a river cruise, Romance of the Rhine and Moselle. And the day, actually in the afternoon, before the day I was supposed to depart for the trip, a Viking river cruise had crashed on the Rhine River, leading it to close, and our group having to spend the first 2 nights in a hotel in Basel, Switzerland, versus going right to the river cruise ship. And I was very nervous about having that happen and how our company was going to handle that. And after taking the trip, I am so happy that that did happen to me and the group, because we got to see how the benefit and what the benefit of our regional offices is to our company and how amazing they are. We had a hotel room in the center of town. There was a nice carnival going on right outside. You step outside, you're right in the center. We had bus passes to take the bus throughout town, and they had some amazing restaurant reservations for us. So a great benefit to why we have those 36 regional offices. We have our Grand Circle Cruise Line river cruises with our award-winning privately owned river cruise ships. So with our river cruising, why would you take a river cruise with Grand Circle Cruise Line? Well, we are unique in a lot of ways. We have local trip experience leaders versus one cruise director. So on our river cruise ships, there is one trip experience leader for each group of no more than 47 travelers. Many other cruise lines have a cruise director for the whole ship, and he or she does not do any of the touring or guiding. Our trip experience leaders or program directors are with your group every step of the way, and they'll avoid taking you to the places that the locals go. They'll take you to places that the locals go, and they will avoid the tourist traps. And they'll increase the learning and discovery element with their additional commentary in port talks. And the most important thing for me is that they'll be with you from beginning to end. So you may have some step on and off guides, but the program director will still be there. So in some, maybe if you're visiting a museum or a particular area, such as the Kinderdijk windmills, we have a special expert for that, but the program director will still be with your group. So very important. Our program directors have a table where you embark and disembark the ship so that you can ask questions during your free time. How do I get tickets to go to this place? What's the best way to get there? So they're always available. And river cruising is my favorite because it's more of a leisurely pace. You only unpack once, which I love. And in your room at night, they turn down your bed while you're having dinner, and they leave you a map of where you're going to be the next day. They also make recommendations of what they think you should do during your free time, which is great. We have unlimited house beer, house wine, and soft drinks at any time during your trip. So you can get that not just at lunch or dinner, and it is unlimited. And we have low-cost single supplements. On 90% of our tours, the supplements for singles are free. And on our river cruising and small ships, we have a low-cost single supplement. So this is another favorite part, and this is a picture from one of my trips, my most recent river cruise, Romance of the Rhine and Moselle. To the left, you'll see Steve Clark from Orlando Ski and Travel Club, and all the way to the right, you'll see Cheryl from Champaign, Illinois Ski Club. And bicycling is such a fun and freeing way to explore and stay fit during travel. A lot of times, bikes are often available to rent in larger cities, but they're harder to find in the smaller ports that we visit by river and small ship. So our team discovered foldable Brompton bicycles. They are electric bicycles. And the great thing is they're free to rent. And our crew will help get you set up with your helmet, your vest, adjust the seat for you. And it's something I highly recommend. Steve and I rode bikes many times during the Rhine and Moselle River, and Steve said it was some of the best bike rides he's ever had. We also leave you maps in your room of where you are each day, of different bike paths you can take. But Steve and I kind of ventured out into some of the vineyards and kind of did our own thing. It was unbelievable. So if you love bike riding, it's something I highly recommend. All right, so we're going to talk about Holland and Belgium in springtime. Now, I've done this trip back in 2018, such a fantastic trip, one of my favorites. And then parts of this trip were also on my most recent trip, Romance of the Rhine and Moselle. So this trip is 12 days, including your flying time, and it's April 9th of 2023. The starting from price with international airfare, meaning the lowest price cabin and international airfare, is $4,205. The pricing will vary depending on the cabin selection that you choose. So this is including 29 meals, accommodations for 10 nights aboard our MS River Aria, 10 included tours with personal headsets, and 3 exclusive Discovery Series events. We have a home hosted Opta Coffee where you'll enjoy a visit with a local family, and they'll be your host for coffee, cake, and conversation. You'll also get to do lots of sightseeing, seeing Antwerp. You'll see Ghent, Kinderdijk, one of my favorites, an Amsterdam canal cruise, and the most beautiful place in the world that I feel is Keukenhof. You'll have shipboard themed dinners, and the gratuities for your local drivers, your local guides, and luggage porters are all included, plus the complimentary house beer, wine, and soft drinks. Also, 24 hours a day, there is coffee, tea, and hot chocolate. The only thing that's not included is the tipping for the shipboard crew and program director. That is not required, but it is recommended. So this is a picture of our beautiful dining area where you will savor a mix of familiar dishes and regional favorites. And you'll get included wine and beer at dinner, or coffee or tea and water. And they make fresh bread every day. It's absolutely amazing. Don't usually eat bread a lot, but every day I had bread because it was a different kind of bread, freshly baked. And we have a dessert chef on board, and it is Dessert Central. They serve dessert for lunch and dinner on there, but some of the most amazing cuisines you will have. And they're very diet accommodating on our ship. So we had someone that had a gluten allergy, and they provided gluten-free bread and gluten-free pasta or any alternative options to the menu. We also had someone that was vegan, and they remembered that person and always gave them additional options on top of what we were serving. So we typically used to do buffets for breakfast and lunch, but we no longer do that because of COVID, and all meals are served directly by the dining staff. This is an example of some of the foods on my trip. So to the left is one of my amazing desserts, and to the right was one of my dinners with spring rolls and noodles, and it was just absolutely amazing. I can't speak highly enough about the food on our ships. This is a picture of one of the cabins in the A or B category with a balcony cabin. All cabins are the same size except for the balcony cabins. They are slightly smaller due to the balcony. The cabins are very spacious, and there's lots of storage space and closets and a little vanity with a mirror. So very beautiful cabins here. And the main difference is as you go down each level, the next level down will have a large picture window, and then on the bottom of the ship, on the bottom decks, you'll have a porthole window. You can view more details and pictures and descriptions of each cabin online at the website. So on the flyer for this trip, there is a website link on the bottom, and you can view specific details for each of the cabins and more pictures of the ship. We do have onboard entertainment. So most of the nights on your trip, there'll be different evening activities where we'll have either guest speakers or singers come on board. One night, the program directors will give a presentation so you can learn more about their life. And then we also, with Grand Circle Cruise Line, have a person that will be your onboard entertainment. This was on my recent trip. His name was Sergi. He sang, he played the piano, he played the saxophone. So after our daily evening entertainment, he would DJ and play and sing for us. And we had such a fun time listening to him and dancing in the lounge. One of my other recommendations, you can see to your left, Steve Clark from Orlando Ski and Travel Club. And to the right, Carla, she is from Tampa Bay Snowboarders and Skiers. And they do a lot of commentary at times when you're sailing down the river, and you can either watch it in the lounge or up top. They give you blankets in the closet in your rooms on board. So I highly recommend going up top for a scenic cruising while you're listening to your commentary. And as you can see, Carla has a cup of hot chocolate and Steve has a glass of wine, and we had such a great time. So something I highly recommend. All right, so the trip starts in Antwerp. And this was also included in my last trip that I took, Romance of the Rhine and Moselle. And Antwerp is Belgium's major port. And in spite of damage suffered during both world wars, Antwerp remains a city of beautiful historic architecture dating back to the 16th century. And on an included tour of Antwerp, you'll visit the Gothic Antwerp Cathedral and the scenic Old Town. It's so beautiful. The buildings, the architecture, it really was breathtaking to be there. And as you can see, Steve, he has some Belgian fries. They are not called French fries. They are called Belgian fries because they are double fried, and they make a homemade mayonnaise. Very, very good. And also I recommend the Belgian waffles, to die for. And Belgian chocolate is the best chocolate I have ever had. There's lots of chocolate shops around where you can buy chocolate, but I also recommend if you go to a local market, the chocolate with an elephant logo on it is not as expensive, and it was so good. I brought some home to my family during Christmas and we absolutely loved it. So just something I highly recommend while you're in Antwerp. And we have the Kinderdijk windmills. I got the lucky experience to have done this twice on both of my trips. Sorry about that. My screen stopped sharing, but here we are. So the Kinderdijk windmills, you get to go behind the scenes here during an exclusive visit and a canal boat ride or bike ride. These well-preserved historic structures became protected by UNESCO in 1997. And I've done both the boat ride and the bike ride. So I can say either or. If you love to bike ride, then I highly recommend doing the bike ride. We have a tour guide that takes you and you do it Netherlands style, so without a helmet. And we got to see some different things that you wouldn't be able to see on the canal. And we made some stops at some areas, but the canal cruise is really, really beautiful as well. And you still have an expert on the ship as well that is giving you a guided cruise. So I can highly recommend both for you. It's an amazing experience. And this was on, so here's some more pictures of the Kinderdijk windmills. And then on my most recent trip, when I did the bike ride, there was a ton of us there that did it. We had such an amazing time. And to your right in the jacket is Sam Rosenberg. He is the vice president of group sales, and he's been with the company for many, many, many years, a great colleague of mine, a great friend, and we had such a fun time. So I highly recommend doing the bike riding. We have the Keukenhof Flower Park, the most amazing flower park in the entire world. Even this picture, it looks beautiful, but it definitely doesn't do it justice unless you are there. And I've included some of my pictures from my Keukenhof experience. You go, there's different sections you can visit, and there's one section where it's indoors and they have different themes. So as you can see on the bottom, they had a wedding theme, and on top they had a love and Valentine's Day theme. There's some more pictures of some of the flowers, and also the Netherlands has the best hot chocolate I've ever had, with homemade whipped cream. So I highly recommend trying the hot chocolate. It's really good. I've been to Europe many times and have tried a lot of different things, but Netherlands has the best hot chocolate, most definitely. We have a few optional tours here. So the first is Delta Works, and this is on day 5. And I highly recommend, if anyone is into engineering, that they definitely take this tour. I didn't take it on my last trip, but I spoke with many people that did, and they said it was worth it. They had such an unbelievable experience. So you'll explore on this optional tour a unique facet of Holland with a trip to Delta Works, which is an engineering marvel designed to protect Holland from floods. Terrible floods in 1953 made clear that low-lying Holland, ever at the mercy of flooding, needed a plan to protect itself from future weather events. And over the next 40 years, a complex plan led to the damming of 4 major estuaries and the coordination of an extensive network of locks, sluices, and channels, bridges, and gates. You'll learn about this challenge in a film at site during this visit. And then you'll see the final step of the Delta Works plan, the storm surge barrier, comprised of 2 huge doors that can close off the new waterway in extreme weather. So such an amazing option on this tour. And then also you have, this looks very interesting to me. I didn't take it either, but definitely one that I would take. Delft on day 7 in Rotterdam. So Royal Delft, established in 1653. So it's the last remaining Delftware factory from the 17th century that still produces hand-painted Delft blue according to centuries-old traditions. And you'll discover all about the history, craftsmanship, and innovation of this royal company during your visit. And also during this tour, you'll have a walking tour of Delft, followed by a guided tour of Delft. So that is where that will take place. And then after, you're going to transfer to Rotterdam. Well, you will finish with your tour with a market experience to see where the Delft is sold. The last optional tour is Alsmer, and you'll get to visit, this is on day 10, and you'll get to visit a flower auction here where flowers are bought from vendors all over the world and shipped the same day. The highest bidder wins. So very exciting there, and some great information on our optional tours. Now I'm going to show you a video called the Trip Experience video. This video is also available online that you can watch after this presentation, and this will give you a full experience of what it's going to be like traveling on this trip. So please enjoy this video.
Europe's Low Countries, Belgium and the Netherlands, offer colorful new experiences. On its waterways and with its adventurous maritime people.
I'd love to spend the summer here and just rent an apartment and get to know all the people in the village.
And to the left, they went shopping. That's where almost everybody went.
Just a step or two from a boat, immersed in this culture. What are a few of the discoveries ahead?
Which was really wonderful.
For centuries, the winds from the adjacent North Sea have powered pumps to control water levels. Dutch windmills use canvas sails and were hand-oriented to face the wind. In addition to pumping water, mills were used to grind corn, cut wood, and, recently, to generate commercial electricity. The waterway to Amsterdam showcases windmills from the 21st to the 17th centuries. The Dutch crafted their houses deep and narrow to minimize taxes calculated on the frontage or width of a home. The resulting narrow staircases were difficult for moving furniture, so exterior hooks help winch goods in and out of windows. Keukenhof is the world's largest flower garden and grows over 7 million tulips across 70 acres. The name means kitchen garden. In medieval days, it supplied herbs to a countess living in a castle. In a country that produces 9 billion flower bulbs annually, over 23,000 acres of land are dedicated to greenhouse production. The IJsselmeer is the largest lake in Western Europe. It was created in 1932 when an inland sea was contained by the completion of a 20-mile-long dam. A short sail from Amsterdam, across the inland lake, lies the village of Enkhuizen, a prosperous fishing center and trading post, settled in 1355. In the mid-17th century, Enkhuizen was at the peak of its power, one of the most significant port cities in the Netherlands.
I love to share places that I am proud of with others, and I love to get people away from what it is they do on a day-to-day basis and just shock them sometimes. Here, this is a plant you do not want to touch. You're gonna get a rash. Interesting to know though is that in the Netherlands we actually make a soup of this plant. The plant, by the way, in Dutch is called brandnetel, and in English it would be burning nettle, would be the English name for it. Okay, so let's start walking straight ahead along this defensive wall that we see here. Not a military defensive wall, but a ocean or sea defensive wall. So it does not really defend against any possible attacks from foreign armies. The higher part has been built in the 17th century. But originally it was part of the city fortification, so there was a big wall all around the city. The wall has been broken down, but they kept defensive gates. If you want to head back to the ship, the easiest way to do so is just go straight here, over the bridge, and there you'll see a beautiful gateway.
So beautiful. Please enter.
Do the Dutch wear wooden shoes? A chance to find answers to any question.
How old?
How old is your
It was
house?
built in 1870.
Yeah. See, we think that's really old.
That's really
For
old.
here, that's not that old.
The house opposite is from 1640.
I really enjoyed it so much. It was just terrific. It's probably one of the best parts of the entire trip.
No, definitely.
Tired of dealing with snow, you know.
But I think also women here do not have their firstborn before 33, 34, 35. That's normal.
It's really nice also is that you can exchange ideas with them and experiences that you've had and how things are running in your country versus how they are here.
You like to try?
Herring. I'm gonna look. It comes with onions.
I'll do a pickle.
It comes with
I
onions
want to
and
see somebody
pickle.
eat it.
Well, you will be the first one.
Oh my God!
Herring is loved by the locals. It is soaked in brine and packed in oak barrels for 5 days.
You like it. No.
The herring, I could live without. I didn't like the herring, but I tried it.
Nice and slimy.
It's not bad, see?
Time just flew. It seemed like I was there for 10 minutes and we were there for 2.5 hours. It was a wonderful opportunity.
The Netherlands has the densest network of inland waterways in Europe. About 3,700 miles of rivers and canals. Many canals allow drainage as well as navigation, forming a complex hydro system that reaches into all regions of this lowland country.
The captain of this ship sets the tone for the crew, and he is so friendly. It is such a warm feeling when he's there to greet you when you come back from a long journey out. But there's just a friendliness. You feel, by the end of the trip, you feel like a member of their family. was walking today, I thought I could easily become Dutch because everything is so neat and tidy and clean. You feel safe. The storekeepers are accommodating. The architecture is beautiful, but it's just very cozy and welcoming, and it was very nice.
Okay, where's the telly?
A memorable journey through Europe's Low Countries, full of surprises.
All right. So now we have some special offers that we have with this tour. So the first is our best price guarantee on the price that you have for this tour. The second is our 10% goodbye plan, where you can save up to an additional 10% off the price of this tour by paying in full with a checking account. You can also pay with credit card. The deposit for this tour is $500 per person, and you can pay with that with either a credit card or a checking account. If you do want to take advantage of saving the additional 10%, I highly recommend making your deposit with a checking account. We do not require any additional payment unless you're taking advantage of the goodbye plan. But if you are not, we don't require any additional payment until 90 days prior to departure. So you can put your deposit down of $500 and then not make any additional payments until $500 until the final payment is due. So with that, right now, this trip is not open for sales. So we call each deposit right now a fully refundable deposit. And so you're making a deposit for a pre-reservation for a tour that is not currently open for sales. And your deposit will be fully refundable until the trip does open for sales. This trip is tentatively scheduled to open for sales in middle of or early March is right now what we're looking at. So that's a really great benefit to have your deposit fully refundable right now. And I highly recommend that anyone who is thinking about signing up or especially looking for a single rooms go very quick because a lot of travelers do pre-reserve. So I highly recommend making a fully refundable pre-reservation deposit. We offer free and low-cost single supplements on all of our tours. The majority are free. On our river cruising and small ships, such as this tour, it is a low-cost single supplement. We also have our risk-free booking offer that expires March 20th of 2022. So anyone that books for this tour before March 20th of 2022 is going to be enrolled in our risk-free policy. So once the trip is open for sales and your pre-reservation is confirmed with the actual date, or you make a deposit after the trip is open for sales, as long as it's by March 20th of 2022, you will be enrolled in our risk-free offer. And we do have a standard cancellation policy, and we do have travel insurance with Allianz that you can purchase that with us. But our risk-free policy has been adapted due to these certain times with COVID and other things that are happening. So it allows you to have peace of mind. So the risk-free policy allows you to change your tour up until 24 hours prior to departure, where you can move your departure date for any reason up until 24 hours prior to your original departure date, and we will waive any change fees or transfer fees. A lot of time the airlines will charge a fee if your flight is already ticketed, and we are waiving those fees to our travelers. The other option that you can do is if you're not ready to reschedule to another departure, you can receive a future trip credit worth the full amount you paid, and that can be used through to the end of 2023. So keep that in mind. A lot of great special offers that we have for this trip. We also have my favorite, the freedom to personalize your experience. We have arrive early and stay late options. So what I did on my most recent trip was I chose to spend an extra 2 days in Bruges, Belgium, because Bruges was not a part of my tour and it wasn't an extension offered at the time. And I really wanted to see that. So Grand Circle arranged my airfare so that I could stay 2 days later. And I was able to get a hotel and use Grand Circle's flights, but extend my stay. So you can do that either coming in early too, as well. Some travelers like to arrive a day early to rest and catch up before the tour starts. So that's always an option. We have optional pre or post trip extensions, where on this tour, there is a pre-trip to Bruges and a post trip to Amsterdam. So you have the option to take either one of those if you'd like. We also offer back-to-back adventures where some of the groups will take one trip and take another trip right after. And then my other favorite is our air options, where you can have your choice of airline, departure city, routing, upgrades to business class or premium economy, or you have the option to book your own flight. So lots of different options there. And so I'm not going to talk about the post trip to Amsterdam because Amsterdam is a part of your tour, but I really wanted to mention the pre-trip for $7.95 to Bruges, because I did stay in Bruges on my last trip most recently, and these are some of my pictures. And it was so beautiful. So I highly recommend, if you have time and can do this, that it is a must for this trip. So strict planning laws in Bruges have kept the city true to its old world charm. Walking there and being there, it's really like going back in time. It's so beautiful. And the city is full of picturesque canals. So you'll discover on this pre-trip one of Europe's most perfectly preserved medieval cities. So you'll have a walking tour through this historic squares and buildings, and you'll get to cruise through its winding canals. So not something you have to do. This is optional, but something I highly recommend. And I'm just scrolling through some of my photos here. It was really medieval and just beautiful. So I absolutely loved it. So thank you so much for being here for my presentation. Wayne, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited. I took this trip. I really feel like it's a must for you to see if you haven't been to these areas. And even if you have, to do it again, because I'm definitely looking forward to do this again with my mother and father in the near future. So I highly recommend it. And I'm now going to open it up if anyone has any questions. Any questions, please let me know. Okay, well, thank you so much. I appreciate you for being here. And here's another picture from Antwerp. I was in Antwerp on my last trip, and to the left and the right, they are married, and it is Jim and Ying from Ski Club of Washington, D.C. And in the center there, we have Gary from Austin Skiers in Texas. So very amazing to have been spent time with them and being able to meet Wayne. I'm looking forward to attending the Mountain Travel Symposium this year. So very exciting. And also what I've done is for this trip, I put it out there to other ski clubs. So this would be nice on our river cruise ship if we could get a few more ski clubs to go. I think that would be fantastic. So that is my goal. I urge you to sign up. It's such a fantastic trip. You'll definitely love it. The deposits right now are risk-free, fully refundable. So please call in and make your deposit. And thank you so much, everyone, for being here. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you.